Gareth Hughes.
Kia ora, Mr Speaker. It's not often I find myself in the same voting position as the National Party, but look, I'll support, and the Green Party will support, good legislation when we see it. I'm not going to stand here and make a political point at the risk of actually providing internet access to New Zealand communities. Mr Speaker, I support the rollout of the rural broadband initiative. I want to see our farms, our regional schools, our communities across provincial and regional New Zealand accessing the internet, and I thought the Labour Party did too, Mr Speaker. Now, Mr Speaker, we've seen a passionate call around taxes. Now, I know that Labor's rightfully trying to hold the government to account for previous statements, which is right, but let's not buy into a frame that taxes are all bad. Now, Mr Speaker, I support collective community capital investment to rectify a market failure. I support that. I think it's the right thing to do, and that's why I'm voting for this. Now, Mr Speaker, it's right to criticise the government for putting the cart before the horse. They are currently consulting on the rollout of the RBI2. They're currently consulting, and here they're putting legislation in front of Parliament, passing it under all stages. I've suggested to the Minister it's putting the cart before the horse, that the government should have put it the right way around. They're obviously not doing it, which is disappointing, because the industry is not going to get a say, the public's not going to get a say, and in fact, the officials have advised, well, at least the industry will get a say during the parliamentary process. But when you're passing a law in 24 hours, it's a big fat no to the industry. Now, the government also hasn't addressed the critical concern and question of the existing RBI, which is this just going to be another big subsidy for Vodafone or someone else? Now, the Labour Party is right to question this. When you divide the anticipated customers of the wireless system run by Vodafone, around 8,000, divided by the $60 million they got, it's an incredibly high $7,500 per connection. Now, those figures might not be correct because the government and the officials haven't released the exact numbers. It seems they're worried to do it. It seems they were short-sighted to not include it in the contract, but if they're not the accurate numbers, if it's not costing $7,500 per connection, the government should front up and it should give us the stats. Now, we don't want to see another massive subsidy paid for by Vodafone's competitors to another one in a different scenario. That's why I've put forward a solution, a supplementary order paper, and I appreciate the Labour Party's support and the support of New Zealand's First. What I want to promote is the idea that the Minister must have regard to competition and to diversity in the regional markets. I think these are good things, reasonable things that all parties should support. The Minister has intimated this is her thinking and her direction. Well, if that's the case, those government members should have no problems supporting this. Now, Mr Speaker, the officials also warn in Section 17 that it's likely the large TDL players or the large telecommunications companies who are currently contributing the most are the ones who will be most likely benefiting from this. There's fantastic regional solutions happening right now the government shouldn't be ignoring and just going to some of the big players. New Zealand's a challenging country to roll out considerable coverage of broadband. We've got topography and other issues. Now, locals all across the country are already coming up with those solutions in their communities, with their local councils, with local experts. Let's not sideline them. Let's, in fact, not compete them out of the market with an RBI-funded big-scale competitor. I hope the government can support it. I hope the government can have a contestable fund which some of the smaller players, the real locals on the ground, can have. And the first step to get there is supporting the SOP. But, Mr Speaker, I'm voting for greater internet access. I'm voting for coming together, acting in a communal fashion to invest in new capital infrastructure. I'm supporting that, and that's why I'm voting legislation.